thing that I'm doing today, and I'm really jazzed about, is fixing this here nailer. It's a Porter Cable Pneumatic Nail gun, and the problem with it is, and this happens every now and then because they're just loaded with plastic O-rings, but the O-rings go bad after a while. No biggie. I noticed that the valve behind the trigger, it's called the trigger valve of all things, the trigger valve is leaking. So when you plug it in to the compressor, everything's nice and tight, and then you hear this psss coming out of the trigger. That's a bad thing. So I decided to take it apart, inspect it myself. I couldn't find anything wrong, so I went onto the interwebs and bought a new trigger valve kit. It's pretty cool because all you got to do is take out the old valve and insert the new one. Mine is not the screw-in kind. Mine is the pop-in kind. The FR350 comes with two kinds, and I got the easier one. Yay. Actually, it's not mine. This tool is my husband's, but I like working on it. Anyhow, let me show you what I got. We're going to change the angle of the camera. There's that bad boy. So, I've already pre-loosened a lot of these screws because I know what I'm doing. This is going to have some kind of a Loctite right here where the nail assembly attaches to the piston nozzle. So you just want to get that out of the way. Now, this is really hard to get out. I don't know if you can see that. Hold on. Here we go. I don't know if you can see this, but right there is the trigger valve assembly. Right there. And this is what it looks like. Hold on. Let me take the new one out. Yes, and I got the little sealing O-ring. Woohoo! This is in there. Now, if you notice, there's a groove on each side. And when it is seated, this pin is what holds it through that groove and keeps it from coming in and out. So, to get that little seating gizmo out, you need a punch and a hammer. Okay, so I got the roll pin out. Let's put the old stuff far away. Now, here's what I noticed. Because it's O-ringed on in there, it's not screwed. There's nothing else. It's just seated in there with pressure. It's kind of hard to get out. So I figured out a really cool little tricky way to get it out. This here is a paint can lid opener. You know, the cheap ones that you get from Home Depot and stuff. I love that little hook right on there. You just kind of use a little bit of force. What you're doing is you're reaching in there and grabbing that little groove and pulling out. You kind of got to work it, but there's really nothing else that is holding it. It's just pressure in there, and you've got to grab it and pull as best as you can. It's coming. There we go. There it is. So all I'm going to do is tread out out one for another. So make sure that when you reseat this trigger valve, that groove, or that groove, doesn't matter, is seated so that it's facing upward, so that that roll pin then sets in it and keeps it from going in and out. I'm just going to go ahead and... Every time we use our pneumatic tools, we always put a drop or two of the oil in there. You just want to keep these guys nice and lubricated, because I tell you what, when you're using compressed air, it doesn't matter if you have a dryer on it or not. It's going to get wet. So you just want everything nice and oily. So I'm just going to jiggle that in, pop it in. Ooh, I got dirty. I'm going to set my roll pin with my roll pin setter. Actually, let me take the old one. There we go. And my hammer that doubles as a ratchet. There we go. Seated beautifully. Now all I've got to do is put the trigger, actual trigger assembly back on. Piece of cake. And this is why it's always handy to not have this on, because it's in the way and it doesn't let you balance it nicely or anything like that. So here we go. Happily, when you buy the new valve, the trigger valve, it comes with this little ring. And that is what keeps the trigger pin in. So you just pop it on. Boom. And now we put everything back again. We back together again. Put her. Okay, now for these bad boys, and it looks like they had some Loctite on them, and well, I happen to keep some in the office because every well-equipped office has Loctite. Just telling you, it's important. This says we're frequent disassembly. Yeah, special tools required for disassembly. We're not going to do that. And, well, this isn't Loctite, it's Lockmate, which is very different. This is for locks, like a graphite to make things nice. So, well, you know what? We're not going to Loctite it. We'll just keep an eye on it through the project, throughout the day. That doesn't feel right. Might have spare Loctite glue on it. You know, you never want to force threaded things, because then you have the privilege of rethreading them, which is a nice way of saying you stripped it. And there you go. Now, just to test it, to make sure that I no longer have a leak coming out of the trigger valve. And it's important. You don't want to be losing all your air to some kind of a hole. So, thanks for viewing. I kind of have fun doing this kind of stuff. You know, the alternative is spend a lot of money on having somebody else do it for you. But if you can take some time to research it, and I can't break it, like a valve I can't break, I can just buy a new one. Why not try? Thanks.